the strikes have obviously, had their knock-on effect, which takes us into our next topic. We're flying through them today, Greg.
Oh,
It's
dude.
Marvel
Well,
delays. Yeah.
you're calm and collected. You're smooth. I love the way you were handling the transitions. There's a lot of, which
Mm.
takes us into the next topic. There's a lot of pre-planning here. I think this is a really well structured podcast today.
Too structured. Like, I've been in bed all week. No, I haven't. The worst thing is when you're a YouTuber, gang. I know we're very lucky to be in this position, but it's talking about movies all day. But the bad thing is when you're ill, you just got to work through it, mate. You've just got to work through it.
Oh
What do you
yeah,
mean
man.
you also have to work through it because you have a proper job listening right now? I'm sorry, guys. You know what I'm saying. Um,
No one's more self-absorbed than YouTubers. All right. Well,
yeah.
no one,
Oh,
no
100%.
one feels they have the hardest time in the world than you. It's because
Yeah.
we subjugate ourselves to people's opinions about us. So I think we just let it weigh on us. But let's talk about these Marvel delays, man.
No, honestly, Greg, I remember I was at a wedding once and I was sat talking to this woman and she was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a YouTuber." She's like, "Oh, how's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's blah, blah, blah. It's not all it's cracked up to be. There's lots of hard times sitting around making videos, talking about Marvel movies and pointing out Easter eggs. It's so difficult." And I was like, "And what do you do?" And she was like, "Oh, I worked as a frontline nurse during the pandemic, and
Oh,
my heart sank, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm very lucky. There's people actually doing really hard work out there, and hopefully enjoying it with a lovely podcast that they can listen to. Because I know some of
man.
you guys are getting paid right now to listen to podcasts. So you cheeky
Yeah.
little monkey, you.
We're helping. We're making the time fly. We are a necessity part of you getting away from your hard life for just one solid hour as you want to hear about what's going on with Marvel delays.
Yeah.
I'm bringing us back. What did the Cosmic Circus say, Paul?
Yeah, so the Cosmic Circus put out a report saying, according to the US Copyright Office, which was actually this report was found with Scarlet Witch updates. The
Nice.
Agatha show is expected to release September 29th, 2024. In
Wow.
addition, they also found out Daredevil's listed as expected to release January 2025,
Oh,
and
man.
Ironheart's expected to release September 3rd, 2025.
I can't wait to commit my birthday to Iron as my birthday. Yay.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's going to be a good birthday
Well, if
week.
it makes you feel better, that date's not locked in, and I'm guessing it's going to get delayed. But I went back to the original slate that they posted in July 2022 last
Hmm.
year. So summer 2023 was supposed to be Echo. Loki season 2 was supposed to be summer 2023. The Marvels, that was meant to be July 28th, 2023. November 3rd, Greg, was going to be Blade. Fall
Wow.
2023 was going to be Ironheart. Then winter 2023 was Agatha. Spring 2024 was Daredevil. And then we go into Captain America and the Thunderbolts. So it's insane when you think about how much this stuff's been delayed. And I looked it up. And Ironheart actually wrapped production in November 2022. So by the time it releases in September 2025, it's going to be 2 years since they finished filming it,
Wow.
which is absolutely insane. Like you think about how tight Marvel used to be, and they had everything in place and worked out. And I think it's just insane that it's been delayed that much. And now, when I brought this up, people were saying like, because it's woke and it's crap and stuff. And I don't know if
Sure.
that's the case, mate. You've not seen it, um, but it's just insane how much mismanagement there almost is in Hollywood at the moment, and for it to finish production and be 2 years behind. I mean, I know they said they were delaying Marvel projects, but wow, that is crazy. I
I
think they've
wonder.
just hit a point where they've thought we really need to reassess what we're doing because not everything's hitting it out the park. And I mean, when was the last $1 billion MCU film? And that used to be a given. Obviously, the pandemic's affected it, but
Even the conversation surrounding Loki season 2 seems like the show is not as big as a lot of people expected it to be. I see it on especially in the breakdown community. I even thought our reaction for it would be significantly bigger, considering the level of hype and how well received Loki season 1 was as well. And it does make you kind of wonder about, hey, is it actually Paul started changing something on the Google Doc while I was talking, and I was like, what is he doing? And now I'm like, oh, I didn't realize Paul could change this Google Doc in real time all the way in the UK before my eyes.
Sponsored by Google Docs.
So yeah, no, but it's it is making me wonder if like spreading it out is probably part of their strategy. Actually, I don't really know how this ties into what I was saying with Loki season 2, but I think showcasing a little bit of damage brand could be applicable with the how Loki season 2 is not as big as a lot of us thought it would be in terms of numbers, despite how well received it is right now.
I mean, it's week 1.
It is week 1. Still, it's Loki season 2, though. Really thought it would. I think a lot of us thought it would be like She-Hulk episode 1 got bigger numbers than than Loki season 2 did. Um, the 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 thing with Disney Plus that a lot of people are often talking about, like this week, I think they have like Goosebumps that is simultaneously debuting with Hulu. There's not much hype around that. They try to get hype around other things, but the only things that really get hype are their Star Wars and Marvel properties. And I think when you spread them out like this for the stuff that's going to be Disney Plus exclusive, it does kind of force you to stay subscribed if you do really care to be, a part of the journey when it comes to the Marvel and Star Wars exclusive content that goes on Disney Plus. So I think this could be in conjunction with part of that strategy. That's just a theory. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a sound theory because that's a really massive delay. You know,
Yeah, I feel with in the case of Ironheart, I feel like it's a mistake, and that is because obviously, Ironheart was introduced during Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever. Yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like it's just a bit too much of a delay almost to stay interested in that character or to at least, strike while the iron's hot and I feel that's the same with Agatha
right.
as well.
I
Daredevil, I
mean,
think there's always sort of that hype around him, so they can kind of get away with it. But Agatha and Ironheart, especially, I think you needed maybe bring it in closer and yeah, just drop it more closer to One Division and Wakanda Forever to really get the hype because by the time like Agatha, let's be honest, was pretty much greenlit off the fact that Agatha All Along song did really well on Spotify.
hell yeah.
That was like 2 years ago now, and it's going to be about 3 years. I don't know if that song's got enough staying power for people to be like, okay, I know we didn't care about Loki, but we're coming back for that. So very, very strange tactic. I think obviously that they've seen their numbers dwindle and they've realized that dropping too much content kind of robs people of anticipation because you're getting it all the time and you just sort of need a gap in between stuff to really
You
build
need
up
the
hype and
build.
fever for something.
You need the
Yeah.
tension build. That's sexual
So
build is what you need.
yeah, I don't think it's indicative of the quality of these shows per se. I just think it's more sort of. I mean, we do constantly complain as well that Disney need to listen to fans and whatever. And though I don't feel Star Wars fully does that, I feel Marvel at least pays attention to fans and is like, okay, we're getting enough feedback from this to kind of realize where we've gone wrong.
Yeah.
Blade's also been delayed. Apparently, they're writing a new script for it. I mean, that movie's been in development hell almost. Like the amount of things I've heard about it behind the scenes of it being, starring Dane Whitman, and then not in the next draft, and then being about his daughter, and then not in the next draft, and yeah, it just kind of sounds all over the place a bit with that. But I'm happy to wait if stuff's good.
You bring up stuff so much that I forget. Like so much has happened in the last few years with Marvel. I honestly forget about some, even Agatha All Along. I haven't thought about that since WandaVision was on air. I'm like, oh yeah, that was the talk when that song was out. Everyone was talking. I mean, WandaVision in general was the talk. And then you're mentioning Blade. Like, oh yeah, crap. There was this whole thing where they announced Mahershala Ali, and it was this huge deal. And then he was teased at the end of Eternals. He was actually in the post credit scene. it's just kind of nuts when you think about just how much has
Yeah.
happened. And like, oh yeah, this happened, and you forget about it. And I do wonder if that has factored into the Loki season 2 effect, because we all really thought that Loki season 1 had the massive consequential catalyst into what will be the multiverse saga, right? Like going into Doctor Strange and all that, and oh, we're going to see how Loki season two's cataclysmic events will ultimately ripple through the preceding Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we didn't really see that effect. So I'm kind of wondering if people are really at that point where they feel like, maybe Loki season 2 is maybe inconsequential or not as necessary to really
Yeah.
experience it.
And I feel like that's the case in general with all these Disney Plus shows. Not all of them. There are some that are consequential, but I think people have kind of got wise to them not fully mattering. Or if they do, then it's like years down the line, and they're not in a rush to watch it. The way I would compare it to is, Marvel are a comic book company. Obviously, they have hundreds of titles where it's side characters that get their own runs, and you know what I'm saying, Greg. You
Dude,
don't
I
just
get
have
you, man.
you don't just have your Avengers comic, Iron Man comic, and Captain America comic. Whereas with the movies, you would have those ones, and I think they've kind of tried to go often into the comic model, where it's almost like give every hero a show, and everyone who seems interested in something will give them a series or include them in other
Mhm.
stuff. And I'm sure with comics yourself, you don't like. I love reading comics, but I don't pick up every single
God, no.
issue about every single other character
No.
to stay on top of stuff. And I tend to just read the main massive arcs. And I kind of feel that's going to be the same with the general audience too, where they're going to come in for the massive movies, your Avengers. And I'm really surprised they haven't done an Avengers movie since Endgame. That I feel that that's a missed opportunity there. I think that would have got a lot of people invested, and rather than having these dwindling numbers, it would have been like, oh well, we need to get caught up to this stuff because an
Yeah.
Avengers movie's coming. But all that to the side, I feel the general audience is going to pay attention to the big names, but not necessarily the smaller ones, and that might fracture down to some shows being missed. Again, we are in episode 1 of Loki
Yeah.
season 2. I personally believe it will pick up. I think from what I've read on
Word
the
of mouth.
reviews and stuff, people have said that there's good stuff coming, and I don't want to skip ahead
Mm.
and spoil it for myself, but I do feel that the audience will get there, and that is something that we see with a lot of Disney Plus shows as well. The
Yeah.
first week it's okay, and then it gets good word of mouth, and then the numbers just build and build and build. For example, Ahsoka, I don't think we've had the numbers for episode 4 or 5 yet with Anakin in, but I can imagine those episodes were quite big because
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember them trending, and obviously the stuff that happened in it. And I can see a similar sort of thing happening with Loki as well.
I hope so. I hope so. I hear a puppy. I hear a
Yeah,
puppy in the background. I love a good
it'd be
puppy. The
be Amazon dropping stuff off for me.
oh, there you go. I think, yeah. I mean, to kind of like wrap it up on this point, I heard your best friend Ryan Airy and your worst enemy Ryan Airy. He said something that was, I think, it was along the lines of Ahsoka. He feels like could have been wrapped up in an opening crawl. What happened in that show, that you don't really need to watch it. That you can kind of just explain the events in an opening crawl. And that is when it makes me think of what you were saying with comic books. Like, a lot of times I don't read this. I won't read the side runs because they usually can just sort of explain what happened really quick in a text. And that's kind of the problem that happens with a lot of the Marvel properties as well. Is unless you really want to catch like specific Easter eggs and whatnot, like the Marvels is coming out, but I'm really under the impression that I actually don't need to watch, even though I have seen them. I don't feel like I actually need to have seen Miss Marvel or WandaVision, because they could probably quickly explain to me what I need to know. And they do a good job at that. So it actually, because that's part of the weird thing with Marvel and thinking about the Marvels, which is putting together three different specific properties: WandaVision, Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel. That you you want to make sure that if they didn't see the shows, that people can still enjoy the movie and keep up with the movie. at the same time, because they structure their movies like that, it can make people go, well, I don't need to watch the shows. I don't need to watch WandaVision. I don't need to watch Miss Marvel. And that kind of attitude just kind of bleeds over into a lot of Marvel now of, do I really need to watch it? Where before everything felt like it needed to be watched. And I think that's kind of the problem when they just, because at first the idea of doing television shows sounded like the greatest prospect for Marvel. It's kind of like awesome. Like, oh, we finally get some real exploration. And at first, it was amazing. You know, WandaVision, Loki. I even really like Falcon and Winter Soldier. Enjoy Moon Knight. There's a lot of great things that have come from the Disney Plus side of television, but the commitment level that you ask for from audiences on that scale is it's a much that's much tall big it's a much bigger order to ask. You know, and the fact that you can sort of explain away a lot of things that happen if when you're doing crossovers with just essentially the idea of an opening crawl, but just in a few sentences on screen. But that's because you couldn't really do that with Ahsoka. With a lot of people were still kind of lost on the characters or like the significance of like Ezra Bridger and whatnot. That a lot of that information would come late. But Marvel, they are in this weird hole right now where a lot of their stuff
Yeah.
doesn't feel as necessary when that was probably their main driving force was how it felt like necessary viewing. And now the brand is more damaged than ever because a lot of their stuff does not necessitate viewing. I feel it does because I like to get all the details and whatever, and I like the journey and
Yeah.
the experience. But for most audiences, it shows in the numbers. The numbers show that.
Yeah. I mean, I would watch it either way. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with Ahsoka and Rebels, that was another example where it was kind of like I feel like not that many people went back and watched through Rebels to get caught up with Ahsoka, and there were some parts here and there. Obviously, it enhanced your enjoyment if you knew that stuff, but I feel that's the same with the films, and they have to kind of be aware that people aren't gonna have watched the show, so they have to make them newcomer friendly as well. It's a really weird place to be in. But as a fan, I still like this stuff. I'm still invested in it. I know I get called a hater all the time and stuff, but it is kind of sad when you see something you love that was so beloved by so many people not getting the love or admiration that it used to. And I kind of feel like on some things it's lost its way, which is why I was so excited for Loki. And yeah, the
Yeah.
numbers have kind of been all over the place on it. We will see what they are officially, but just you honestly, the whole week was just YouTubers messaging me going, your Loki view's doing well. Is it doing well in the video? And I was like, it's doing not. It's fine. It's okay. It's worse than She-Hulk. And he was like, yeah, it's doing worse than She-Hulk for me. And I was like, okay, I'm fine though. Don't worry. Are you okay? And he was like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's like it's gonna be a long 6 weeks, mate. Yeah, no, not afford to buy my children coffee for Christmas or something. I don't know why. I don't know why I brought up coffee for Christmas, but you know what I mean. But we'll
Who are
be
these
okay, guys.
elderly YouTubers that you're you're friends with?
Me? Yeah, me by the looks of it these days. I'm like 35 years old. Jeez. Ryan Airy's about 50 years old, mate. Don't tell him I
Oh, it
said that.
shows.
Yeah. So,
Did we
well,
cut
that's why
that?
he puts it all on the dog.
Yeah.
So,